Yo, what's up, y'all? It's the MMA Analyst, and I'm back at it again. This time doing my predictions, my preview video for UFC 95. Looks like a pretty good card. There's a lot of things to be, developed in the middleweight division. Uh, this event will help do such, uh, do such, do such. Yeah, this event will help do such sort outs. Anyways, y'all, let's get right down to it. Diego Sanchez, Diego Nightmare Sanchez versus Joe Daddy Stevens. Diego Sanchez started out 17-0. He beat Kenny Florian in the Ultimate Fighter finales. He was the champion of that season. He went on to beat Joe Riggs, Carl Parisian, Alessio, Nick Diaz, and Gasaway. His losses are to John Fitch, and his first loss was to Josh Koscheck. Somebody, he was 17-1. Y'all remember that. Just by the way, if the casual UFC fans don't like you in 2007, unless you do some amazing work, like you got to land that plane on the water, you know what I mean, or something. You got to save lives. You know what I mean? They're still gonna hate you in 2009. Koscheck is one of the most hated dudes in the UFC, and he really hasn't done anything wrong in the last 18 months. But the he bugged a lot of people earlier on. Anyways, Diego took out Luigi Fioravanti, and then he ran through Bilkiden. But really, when it comes down to it, 170, it's a little too big for him. He probably is more fitted for 155. I mean, he did his thing. He was, he was basically undefeated. He beat a lot of good guys, but when it comes down to it, he'll never beat Fitch. He'll never beat Koscheck. He'll never beat GSP. And I can only imagine how small he would look in the cage against Thiago Alves. Wow. Anyways, he trains at American Top Team. He actually trains jiu-jitsu now and has for about a year with world champion Saulo Ribeiro in San Diego. And since then, he's shown vast improvements in his jiu-jitsu. Joe Rogan even made comments about it. He made mention in a few of his recent fights. Sanchez has decent stand-up, much improved Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He's got good wrestling. But really, when it comes down to it, he's just a hard worker. He never relents. He never gasses. He never gives up. Really, he just keeps going and going. And he's dropped down to 155, where he will definitely be in title shot contention with one win over one of their top dudes. His first test and one of these top dudes is Joe Daddy Stevenson. I don't know why I say his name like that all the time, but it just, daddy, you know what I mean? You got to be hard, because it's not like a kid saying it, like, daddy. It's like, daddy, you know what I mean? Like, who's it? Anyways, 29 wins, 9 losses, 13 wins by submission. 10 of those wins are by either rear naked choke or guillotine. He has 6 knockouts and has faced some of the best that the UFC has to offer at 155. Unfortunately, he was at the losing end of most of his most important bouts in his UFC career. The title shot against BJ Penn and the number 1 contender shot against Kenny Florian. In those 2 fights, he really got worked. Basically, Florian put him through the fire, and BJ put him through the blender. He does have big wins. He's got wins over Gleason Tebow by guillotine. He also has a win over Pellegrino. He has win over Gillard, guillotine. Mishima, also by guillotine. And Yves Edwards, he's got win over Kumo, where he became the Ultimate Fighter 2 winner. And he has some somewhat notable wins outside of the UFC over Edwin Deweese and, yeah, let's say Thomas Denny. Why not? His first loss ever was in his second fight where he faced Jens Pulver back in 1999. Damn. Dude's been in it for a long time, and really he's going to need all the experience he can get against Thiago the Nightmare Sanchez. I see this fight being at it's like 120 miles per hour non-stop with Sanchez in the driver's seat. This fight will not win most beautiful fight of the year. It will not likely involve the knockout of the night. It probably won't even involve the submission of the night. I think it will just be rough and tough match that plays out on the mat. And as long as Sanchez doesn't end up deep in Daddy's guillotine, I think Sanchez wins this by decision. There's a possibility for like a second round TKO in my mind. Like I'm picturing, he hurts him, whatnot. But I don't really think that's really going to go down. I think the safer bet is a decision victory for the Nightmare. Either way, the Nightmare is on a collision course with Kenny Florian. Kenny Florian, he's got his title shot. If he loses to BJ Penn, then the UFC will set that fight up immediately. It's the rematch at lightweight. If Florian wins and becomes champion, well, then that's where, Diego wants to be. He wants the title. So, they're on a collision course. He'll be looking to get that belt. The 155 division, to me, it looks like this. Nobody can beat BJ Penn. Nobody can beat Sean Shirk except BJ Penn. Nobody can beat Kenny Florian except for Sean Shirk and BJ Penn. And then everybody else kind of has to scrap it out. Alright. Next fight. Nate the Great Marquardt versus Wilson Govea. Nate Marquardt, 26-8, 14 submissions. He's coming off an absolute trouncing over Martin Kampmann. He lost a title shot to the man himself. Talis Litis, after being deducted a point for kneeing a down opponent, and then another point for hitting dude in the back of the head, and then he could have been DQ'd for pile driving the little Brazilian. But anyways, by the way, when I say little Brazilian, they don't really mean, it doesn't mean anything, Don't get upset. All right. He beat Jeremy Horn by guillotine. By the way, guillotine, or it's not really guillotine or whatever it is. That's the word of the day. Anyways, y'all. And he lost to Anderson Silva when he got his title shot. He has won over Lister, Dean Lister. Dean Lister, the guy who has the hottest wife in MMA fighting squad. Like, if you're an MMA fighter and your girl is hot, your girl is not as hot as Dean Lister's girl. Check it out, y'all. Just type in, Google it, or I don't know, YouTube it after. Dean Lister's wife. This is obviously not disrespect, because I'm giving Dean Lister props. He went out, he got his black belt, and then he went out and handled his damn business. Dean Lister, good work. Alright, he's also got wins over Joe Dirksen, Ivan Salivary, and he won the King of Pancrase title back in the day against Misaki. He had been in the title shot earner or defender matches multiple times before that. By the way, anybody who hasn't seen Pancrase, go watch it. Everything before 1998 was like MMA meets WWF. It was crazy. They had like rope breaks. Like, if you were getting submitted and you reached out and grabbed the rope, they break it up and stand you up. They had tag team matches. Like, it was crazy. It was really like wrestling. Like, I see guys slap on a leg lock, other guys slap on a leg lock, and then they're like pulling, but they're not really pulling. They're like faking pulling, but they're like all like, acting for the crowd, and you know how they reach for the rope, like, I just gotta get to the rope. Ah, it was some crazy, ridiculous foolishness. After 1998, though, they changed the rules. They made it more real, less WWE type stuff. Mark Quart, by the way, started his Pancrase run in the year 2000. So, anyways, he trains with Greg Jackson's submission system, and he trains with GSP, who's the welterweight champion. He trains with Rashad Evans, who's a light heavyweight champion, and a few other tough guys. Speaking of tough guys, he will be facing one at UFC 95, Wilson Gouveia. Wilson Gouveia, 12-5. He's got 7 subs, only 2 guillotines. He's a black belt, trains with American Top Team, and he's fighting out of Coconut Creek, Florida. It seems like every time I hear Coconut Creek, Florida, like I only hear Coconut Creek because of when they're introducing fighters. So I've only heard Coconut Creek spoken from Bruce Buffer's mouth. I've never heard Coconut Creek, like, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Coconut Creek. Anyways, that's why I said it like that. He's coming off 2 impressive wins over Jason McDonald and Ryan Jensen. He also has notable wins over Carmelo Marrero, Jason Lambert, and John Fitch back in 2002 in his 3rd fight. Possibly Wilson Gouveia's most impressive win was over Giant Slayer, the 2nd greatest fighter of all time, the man who KO'd the bread getter, Kimbo Slice. That's right, he has a win over Seth Petrozelli. Alright, obviously I'm just playing. Anyways, it wasn't impressive or shocking. Just keep getting your bread, Kimbo. Keep getting your bread. Anyways, Mark Quart needs, if he needs any insight on how to beat Gouveia, he's got some help. Gouveia has a loss to Keith Jardine, who Mark Quart trains with. Jardine has a win over Wilson Gouveia back in the Ultimate Fighter 3 finale. Wilson Gouveia is not, for anybody who got it confused, he is not Randy Couture. And by that I mean he does not always come with the best game plans. He often wants to stand and strike with people. He stood with Goran Relic and got his ass knocked out, or at least TKO'd. He gasses more than he needs to, and he tries to mix it up a little too much. But unfortunately, even if he has seen the error of his past ways and changes everything up, he will still likely fall to the Greg Jackson standout, who is one of the biggest guys at 185. I see Mark Quart controlling this fight wherever it goes. I see him being more than knowledgeable enough to avoid any submissions. I see Mark Quart tiring out Gouveia quickly, and I think he will put the pressure on Gouveia. Gouveia will crack late in the 1st round or early in the 2nd. TKO for Nate the Great. Alright, next fight. One I want to see the most on this card, I think. Thinking about the main event, right? Thinking all the way down, right. This is the one I want to see the most. Damian Maia versus Chael Sonnen. Damian Maia, 9-0, making grown men tap like Gregory Hines and Van Halen. Dude is running through everybody in the division that Anderson Self isn't ponying himself. He's got 3 submissions of the night. He's got a win over Quarry, which should be overturned in my honest opinion because it seemed too easy. He's got a win over Jason McDonald, Ed Herman, and Ryan Jensen. He's been undefeated. He is undefeated since taking on MMA in 2005. The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu World Champion is really, trying to get his shot at the title. He's getting his skills together. He's getting an opportunity to mold his different arts and get better at this and that. So that when he finally does get to Anderson Silva, he's gonna have a shot. We know his jiu-jitsu is some of the best in the world, so you just gotta round out the rest. He's getting his opportunity against some pretty tough guys. With another win, if he wins over Sonnen here, I think he's gonna have to face like Mark Quart Henderson, Franklin, or even Anderson Silva. The way they're giving out the title shots to guys that Anderson Silva hasn't fought yet, Damian Maia is a guy that he hasn't fought yet that probably would deserve a title shot at this point. Anyways, in the meantime, he's going to have to face previously one of the best 205-pounders that wasn't in the UFC, Chael Sonnen. 21 wins, 9 losses. Recently defeated Paulo Filho in a match where the previously undefeated Filho came in overweight, out of shape, and talking to ghosts. I'm telling y'all, if you haven't seen the fight, watch it. Not because it's a good fight, but because I want to know if anybody knows who the F he was talking to. He's in the middle of the fight, and it wasn't his cornerman. It was not his cornerman. It was not anybody in the physical form. He was just like it was crazy. Anyways, he didn't even show up to fight. He got handled, and that was that. Anyways, Sonnen won. He actually lost an earlier fight to Filho where he was beating Filho up and got caught in an armbar. Anyways, other notable fights. He has 3 losses to Jeremy Horn, a loss to Babalu, a loss to Forrest Griffin back in 2003 by triangle, and a TKO loss to Terry Martin. He split his matches with Trevor Prangley, and he has a win over Lambert, Tim Creeder, and that's about it. Of his 21 wins, over half have gone to the decision. He has 7 KOs and 3 wins by submission. This is a very, very tough fight for Sonnen. Like most people who have faced Maia or will face Maia, if it goes to the ground, it's a wrap. And this fight will likely go to the ground. That's just the way it is. Sonnen has lost to too many guys who didn't bring the kind of strengths that Maia is going to bring, the kind of skills that Maia possesses in certain areas where, you know, it seems like Chael Sonnen doesn't have his own, amazing skill set in a certain area so that he can maybe offset Maia's amazing skill set. He'll have to avoid the ground at all costs. He'll have to absolutely own Maia on the feet. He'll have to have amazing takedown defense, and that includes pulling guard. His wrestling is gonna have to be really good. I think y'all see where I'm going here. Damian Maia submission, end of the first round. Next fight, Hardy versus Markham. Dan Hardy, 20 wins, 6 losses, 10 KOs, 4 subs. His latest win was over Akira Gono, who, by the way, I still haven't, I've seen it, but, I've only seen, the YouTube dude with the camera watching his entrance. You gotta see Gono's entrance against, John Fitch. He got dressed up in drag, straight up a dress. And, his boys were in dresses, and they had, wigs on. And they were dancing and doing all types of craziness. It was a trip, and I wish I would have seen that on the main event or something, because that would have been good. Anyways, it's actually a close split decision win over Gono. I have heard a few people say that they didn't agree with the decision. That's his most notable win. It was his UFC debut. He's been fighting since 2004. He lost his first match, then went on a 5-2 record before losing to fellow UFC newcomer David Barron. Since then, he's lost to Barron a second time. He lost to Forrest Petz. And his latest loss was a DQ against Yoshiyuki Yoshida. He's been undefeated since late 2007. He's on a 4-fight winning streak. He's the Cage Warriors lightweight and welterweight. Lightweight and welterweight? Yeah. Lightweight and welterweight champion. And he's looking to get his second win in just as many UFC outings. To do that, he'll have to take a Rory Markham 16-4, 11 KOs, 5 subs. He's finished every fight he's ever been in. This includes his losses. He was TKO'd all 4 times. His most recently KO was the toe-curling KO high kick of the night over Brody Farber, where he was kind of getting a little tagged up, backing up, bow, and knocked dude out. You could have put like a screenshot of dude laying on his back, Brody Farber with just his all jacked up, and then superimposed Nate Quarry from when he had got blasted by Rich Franklin. They would have looked like like they got hit with the same virus. Like, damn, that's the same symptoms right there. Knocked the hell out. Anyways, he made his home in the IFL, and through the different smaller organizations, he picked up somewhat notable wins over Mike Pyle, Brad Blackburn, and Clay Guida's older, pudgier, slower brother, Jason Guida. His losses are to Chris Wilson and 3 other guys you've likely never heard of. If this fight here is on the main event, you know that the UFC is in England. I've got Markham winning this fight wherever it goes, and all before round 2. Last fight on the main card, Koscheck versus Thiago. This will be short. Koscheck, 12-3. Forget all the stats. You already know. No use breaking down a fight that doesn't need much analysis more than this. Koscheck is the 3rd best guy at 185 in the UFC. The other 2 guys that are better than him, none of their names are Paulo Thiago. Who is Paulo Thiago? He's an undefeated, tough Brazilian fighter. This is his first time fighting outside of Brazil. Not a bad thing, just merely saying it. Will he have better wrestling than Koscheck? No. Will he have better striking? No. Will he have better jiu-jitsu? Yes. Will his jiu-jitsu equate to a win? Probably not. Koscheck in the second round, TKO, ground and pound. That's what's happening. No disrespect to Thiago, but I've seen all his fights. Yes, I have seen all his fights. You also can see all his fights if you want to. The internet website is called YouTube.com. If ever you want to see a fight from like a guy that's not in the UFC, from like a guy that's not on the big cards, you just type in YouTube.com and then you type in their name and it will be there, because fighters put their fights online. That's what happens. Anyways. You can see everything you want on YouTube, by the way. You know what I mean? Too bad you can't download it. Let's say if you want like any song, you want to hear it, it's on YouTube. They might be taking them down, but it's there at some point. You can hear the instrumental versions. Y'all know about YouTube. I'm just saying, YouTube is not just for like guys that did Chocolate Rain, what in the butt, and average looking girls with big boobs who talk about dumb stuff. Well, dudes, look at the revealing tops and rainbow high socks. Oh snap. Koscheck, round 2, TKO, ground and pound, like I said. Undercard, in a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu matchup type, Edom will beat Palace Fighting champion Brian Cobb. Junior Dos Santos will outstrike the 6-foot, oh my damn, Stefan Struve. By the way, UFC.com has Struve at 6'11". Everywhere else in the world that he's ever been, measured, he's 6'8". Cage Rage Wildman Neil Grove will likely collect a nasty knockout over, I'm just going to call him Mike C, because his last name is foreign and ridiculously long. In a tough fight to call, I'm going to pick Per Eklund over Evan Dunham. But, if Evan pulls this off, to be completely honest, I will not be surprised. If you want to see a handful of his fights, then check out the YouTube account, E543215. I think that's his account. Because who else would put up a whole bunch of fights from a up-and-comer, relatively unknown dude? Anyways, he's got some pretty good stand-up. He's got some pretty good wrestling. His Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu looks pretty good. And the reason I'm not picking him, actually, is because it's just, Per Eklund has been up against tougher competition. He like struggled his way through, through like, I don't know, like maybe 7 minutes with Kawajiri. He's faced better competition. He's beat tougher competition. But this could be the coming out party for Evan Dunham. But like I said, Per Eklund, and I'm going to go by decision. And Troy Mandalones will have a rough night, probably a short night at the hands of Paul Kelly. Pun intended. All right, y'all. UFC 95. I was late with this one. I'm just trying to get some stuff handled. By stuff, I mean good stuff. And by good stuff, I mean good stuff for everybody. I'm working on some things, some good things. Got some interviews coming up. You know what I mean? So, some announcements to make. I'm just trying to get stuff done, y'all. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to stay focused. I just want to this is me, tunnel vision, looking at the finish line. You know what I mean? And there's only one reason, and y'all know what it is. It's because MMA is important, y'all. It's important. Peace.